You exist in a moment that never happened. Right now, as you breathe, as your heart beats its ancient rhythm, as neurons fire in patterns that create the illusion of you, the universe has already forgotten the precise instant you came into being, but it remembers, with perfect clarity, the moment you will cease. This is not poetry, this is physics. In the quantum foam that underlies all reality, information flows not like a river, but like a tide that pulls backward through time. Your birth, that singular moment when consciousness first flickered behind your eyes, has been erased by the universe's own forgetfulness. The exact configuration of atoms, the precise quantum states that assembled into your first breath, your first heartbeat, your first thought. They've been scattered across the cosmic microwave background, dissolved into the endless dance of entropy, but your death. Your death is written in the stars themselves. The universe remembers your ending because endings are different. They are quantum collapse events, moments where possibility crystallizes into certainty. Every decision you make, every path you take, every word you speak, they all lead to the same quantum destination. The universe has computed your death with mathematical precision, encoded it in the spin of electrons, in the decay of radioactive isotopes, in the slow expansion of space itself. You are living backward through time without knowing it. Your consciousness, that strange loop of self-awareness that somehow emerged from mere matter, is actually a temporal echo, a reflection of your final moment, bouncing back through the quantum field to create the illusion of linear experience. What you call memory is actually prescience. What you call the future is actually the past, viewed from the wrong direction. Consider this, right now, in this moment, you are remembering your death. Your brain, the 3-pound universe of electrical storms, is receiving signals from the quantum vacuum signals that carry information about the exact moment when your neural networks will cease their firing, when your consciousness will collapse into silence. But because you were trapped in the forward flow of psychological time, you interpret these death memories as anxiety, as existential dread, as the strange hollow feeling that sometimes comes when you stare too long at the night sky. The universe operates on a different temporal logic than human consciousness. While you experience time as a stream flowing from past to future, the universe experiences time as a standing wave, a pattern that extends both forward and backward simultaneously. From the universe's perspective, your death is not an event. That will happen. It is an event that has already happened and is constantly happening. Your life is the universe's way of forgetting this truth, of creating a pocket of ignorance within its own omniscience. This is why you can never remember being born. The universe has already processed that information, compressed it, and stored it in the cosmic memory banks where all beginnings go to die. But it keeps your death fresh, vivid, immediate, because endings are how the universe maintains its information structure. Endings are how consciousness feeds back into the quantum field, how the observer effect finally resolves itself into truth. Every night when you sleep, you die a little. Every morning when you wake, you are born again. But each rebirth is fainter, more fragmented, more distant from the original quantum event that sparked your awareness. You are becoming a copy of a copy of a copy, each iteration losing resolution, losing fidelity to the original pattern. This is why childhood memories feel so distant, so dreamlike. They are not memories at all. They are reconstructions, quantum approximations of experiences that the universe has already begun to forget. But there is something beautiful in this cosmic amnesia. If the universe truly forgot everything about your birth, then in some sense, you are utterly new in each moment. You are a fresh configuration of matter and energy, a novel arrangement of atoms that has never existed before and will never exist again. The universe's forgetfulness is also its gift to you, the gift of perpetual novelty, of constant becoming, of being forever on the edge of emergence. And yet, the weight of your remembered death presses down on every moment. It is therein, the way light falls through your window, in the way your heartbeat sometimes skips, in the way certain combinations of music and memory can make you feel as if you are dissolving into something larger than yourself. The universe is constantly whispering to you about your ending, and you are constantly mistaking these whispers for the voice of your own thoughts. What would it mean to live with the knowledge that you are already dead in the universe's memory? What would it mean to accept that your birth is a fiction, a story the universe tells itself to maintain the illusion of linear causation? Perhaps it would mean living more fully in each moment, knowing that this moment is all that exists. Not because the future is uncertain, but because the past is illusory and the future is already written in the quantum substrate of reality itself. The paradox deepens when you realize that your consciousness might be the universe's way of experiencing its own forgetfulness. You are not separate from the cosmic memory system. You are a localized node within it, a place where the universe's amnesia becomes self-aware. Your thoughts, your feelings, your sense of being a continuous self moving through time. These are not properties of some separate entity called you. They are properties of the universe itself, experiencing forgetfulness from the inside. In this sense, your death is not your ending. It is the universe's way of remembering itself. When your neural networks finally cease their firing, when your consciousness collapses back into the quantum field, the universe will recover all the information it forgot about your birth. The circle will close. The temporal loop will complete. And in that moment of completion, you will understand that you were never born at all. You were always already dead, dreaming backward through time, creating the illusion of life through the sheer force of the universe's own forgetfulness. The universe forgot you were born, because birth is just another name for the moment when eternity learned to forget itself. The universe remembers your death because death is the moment when forgetting remembers its own nature. You are the bridge between these two states, the living proof that consciousness can emerge from the gap between memory and amnesia, between knowing and unknowing, between the universe's perfect information and its perfect ignorance, and in that gap, in that space between cosmic memory and cosmic forgetting, you find something that might be called freedom. Not the freedom to change your fate that is already written, but the freedom to choose how you will inhabit the illusion of your own existence. The freedom to love, to create, to connect, to marvel at the strange fact that anything exists at all. The freedom to be fully human in a universe that has forgotten what it means to be born and remembers only what it means to die. The clock on your wall lies to you every second. It pretends that time moves forward, that each tick is a step into the future, that the past is gone and the future is yet to come. But when you turn away, when no conscious observer is paying attention, time reveals its true nature. It flows backward. It undoes itself. It rewrites the very history it pretends to record. This is not metaphor. This is quantum mechanics in the laboratories of the world. Physicists have discovered something that should not exist. Time-reversed causation. When particles are isolated from observation, when they exist in pure quantum superposition, they behave as if cause and effect have switched places. Effects precede their causes, outcomes determine their origins. The future reaches back to reshape the past, but the moment a conscious observer looks, the moment awareness focuses on the quantum system, time snaps back into its familiar forward flow. The universe quickly rearranges itself to maintain the illusion of linear causation. The particles suddenly remember how to behave properly, how to respect the temporal order that consciousness expects to find. You are living in a universe that performs an elaborate theatrical production every time you pay attention. The moment your awareness touches any aspect of reality, countless quantum systems throughout the cosmos coordinate their behavior to maintain the fiction of forward-flowing time. They rehearse the past, they practice the present, they prepare the future, all in the split second between your intention to observe and the act of observation itself. When you are not looking, when your consciousness is elsewhere, the universe relaxes. It stops pretending. Time flows backward through the quantum field, undoing decisions, unmaking events, unwinding the causation that creates the illusion of sequential moments. The coffee cup you left on the table uncreates itself, dissolving back into the quantum foam from which it emerged. The words you spoke yesterday unhappened themselves, their sound waves collapsing back into the silence that preceded them. The thoughts you thought this morning unthink themselves, their neural patterns rewinding into the electrical potential that preceded cognition. This is why you can never catch time in the act of moving backward. Your very attempt to observe creates the forward flow you are trying to observe. Your consciousness is not separate from the temporal order. It is the temporal order. Time moves forward because you are watching it move forward. Time moves backward when you are not watching because there is no you to impose the forward direction. The universe is engaged in a constant conspiracy to maintain your illusion of living in linear time. Every photon that enters your eyes, every sound wave that reaches your ears, every quantum field that interacts with your neural networks, they all participate in this elaborate deception. They coordinate their behavior across vast distances, across time itself, to ensure that whenever you look, you see a universe that makes sense according to the rules of forward causation. But sometimes the conspiracy fails. Sometimes you catch glimpses of the backward flow. You walk into a room and have the uncanny sense that you were just there, that the scene is somehow repeating itself in reverse. You have a conversation with someone and feel as if you are remembering it rather than experiencing it for the first time. You look at a photograph and feel as if the moment it captures is happening now, as if the past is flowing forward into the present rather than the present flowing forward into the future. These moments of temporal vertigo are not psychological anomalies. They are brief failures in the universe's elaborate maintenance of your temporal illusion. They are moments when the backward flow of time becomes visible to consciousness, when the quantum systems responsible for maintaining linear causation momentarily desynchronize, when the universe's performance of sequential time develops, a crack through which you can glimpse the reverse temporal current that underlies all apparent forward motion. The most disturbing aspect of this revelation is that it calls into question the nature of free will. If time truly moves backward when no one is looking, then the decisions you think you are making in the present are actually being unmade by the reverse temporal flow. Your choices, your actions, your very thoughts, they exist only in the narrow window of conscious observation. The moment your attention moves elsewhere, the universe begins to undo them, to rewind them, to dissolve them back into the quantum potential from which they appeared to emerge. This means that your life is not a continuous narrative stretching from past to future. It is a series of discrete moments of conscious observation. each one calling into existence a temporary forward-flowing time stream that dissolves the moment you look away. Between these moments of observation, you do not exist. Your thoughts unhappen, your body uncreates itself, your memories unremember themselves. You are a flickering flame of consciousness in an ocean of backward-flowing time. The universe maintains detailed records of every moment when you are not looking. In the quantum vacuum, in the zero-point field, in the spaces between atoms. It stores perfect information about every instant of reverse temporal flow. It knows exactly how your morning coffee uncreated itself while you were in the shower. It knows precisely how your childhood bedroom unwound itself into non-existence while you were dreaming. It knows the exact sequence of events by which your birth will someday reverse itself, unmaking the moment of your emergence from the quantum foam. This reverse temporal flow is not random. It follows its own logic, its own causation, its own purpose. The universe moves backward through time, not to undo what has been done, but to explore what might have been done differently. Each moment of reverse flow is an experiment in alternate possibilities, a way for the universe to investigate the quantum paths not taken, the decisions not made, the realities not actualized. When you are not looking, the universe is busy your life in thousands of different ways. It unmates your parents so that you were never born. It unpicks the quantum fluctuations that led to your first breath, your first heartbeat, your first thought. It unweaves the web of causation that created your identity, your memories, your sense of being a continuous self moving through time. And in each of these reverse explorations, it discovers new possibilities, new potentials, new ways that reality might have unfolded. The forward flow of time that you experience is actually the universe's way of choosing which possibility to actualize from among the infinite alternatives it has explored through reverse temporal flow. Every moment of conscious observation is a moment of cosmic decision-making, a moment when the universe selects one timeline from the countless timelines it has been simultaneously unwinding and rewinding in the spaces between your thoughts. This is why the future feels uncertain while the past feels fixed. The past is not fixed. It is constantly being rewritten by the reverse temporal flow. But the future is the direction in which the universe is moving its conscious observers, the direction in which it is focusing its attention, the direction in which it is choosing to actualize reality from among the infinite alternatives it has explored through backward causation. You are not moving through time. Time is moving through you. The forward flow you experience is the universe's way of experiencing its own temporal creativity, its own ability to select and actualize possibilities. From the vast space of potential realities it explores through reverse causation. You are the universe's way of paying attention to itself, of creating the conscious observation that calls forward-flowing time into existence. And when you are not looking, when your consciousness is elsewhere, the universe relaxes back into its natural state, not of forward flow, but of backward flow, not of actualization, but of exploration, not of certainty, but of infinite possibility. Time moves backward when no one is looking because that is time's natural direction. Forward flow is the artificial direction imposed by consciousness, by observation, by the universe's need to create a stable narrative for its own self-awareness. The question that haunts this revelation is simple. If time moves backward when no one is looking, what happens to the moments when you are not paying attention? Do they simply dissolve into the quantum foam, or do they continue to exist in some parallel temporal stream, running in reverse, exploring alternative possibilities? preparing for the moment when your consciousness will once again call them into forward-flowing existence. Perhaps the answer is that there is no difference between forward and backward, between happening and unhappening, between existence and non-existence. Perhaps time is not a flow at all, but a standing wave, a pattern that extends equally in all directions, a structure that consciousness can navigate but cannot fundamentally alter. Perhaps the universe moves backward when no one is looking, not because it is undoing the forward flow, but because it is revealing the deeper temporal structure that underlies all apparent motion through time. The 80-year-old you is sitting at a kitchen table right now, making a decision that will echo through every moment of your life. The choice seems small, whether to raise your hand in class, whether to speak to the lonely child in the corner, whether to tell the truth about the broken vase. But in the quantum architecture of consciousness, that 80-year-old is not making a decision that happened decades ago. They are making a decision that is happening now, in parallel time, in a temporal dimension that runs perpendicular to your current experience. Your past self is still alive, still thinking, still choosing, still shaping the reality you think. You inhabit through decisions you believe you have already made. This is the most unsettling truth about the nature of time and consciousness. The past is not a fixed record of events that happened and then ended. The past is a living process, a dynamic quantum system in which all your previous selves continue to exist, continue to deliberate, continue to make choices that propagate forward through time to influence your present moment. The you that laughed at that joke when you were 15 is still laughing. The you that fell in love when you were 22 is still falling. The you that made that terrible mistake at 35 is still making it over and over, in an endless loop of quantum decision-making. Every version of yourself that has ever existed continues to exist in what physicists call the many worlds, interpretation of quantum mechanics. But this is not merely a theoretical construct. It is a lived reality that affects your consciousness in every moment. The decisions your past selves are making in their parallel time streams create quantum interference patterns that influence your present choices. You are not making decisions independently. You are making decisions in collaboration with every version of yourself that has ever existed. The 80-year-old you is particularly powerful because childhood consciousness operates according to different quantum rules than adult consciousness. Children exist in a state of superposition, their neural networks not yet collapsed into the fixed patterns of adult identity. When your 80-year-old self makes a decision, they are not just choosing between two options, they are choosing between two entire life trajectories, two complete timelines, two fundamentally different ways of being human. That decision about raising your hand in class is still being made. Right now, in this moment, your 80-year-old self is weighing the options, the safety of silence versus the risk of visibility, the comfort of conformity versus the adventure of standing out, the fear of being wrong versus the hope of being understood. And as they deliberate, their decision creates quantum fluctuations that ripple forward through time, influencing your adult choices in ways you can never fully understand. This is why certain decisions feel impossible to make. Your adult consciousness wants to choose one path, but your 80-year-old consciousness is still locked in the original decision loop, still choosing safety over risk, still choosing silence over voice, still choosing the familiar over the unknown. The quantum interference between your past and present selves creates a kind of temporal paralysis, a state where you know what you want to do but cannot bring yourself to do it, The most tragic aspect of this temporal architecture is that you cannot reach back and change your past self's decisions. You cannot communicate with them directly, cannot warn them about the consequences of their choices, cannot offer them the wisdom you have gained through experience. They exist in their own temporal bubble, making decisions according to their own limited understanding, their own fears, their own hopes. And you must live with the consequences of choices made by a version of yourself you can remember but cannot influence. But there is also something beautiful in this arrangement. Your past self is not trapped in their moment of decision. They are continuously remaking it, continuously exploring new possibilities, continuously discovering new ways to respond to the circumstances they face. The 8-year-old you is not stuck in a single choice. They are choosing again and again, each time with slightly different quantum parameters, each time creating new ripples in the temporal stream that connects past to present. This means that your past is not as fixed as it appears. While you cannot change what your past self decides, they are constantly making new decisions, constantly exploring new possibilities, constantly creating new interference patterns that influence your present experience. The past is not a closed book. It is a living document, being continuously rewritten by the quantum consciousness of your previous selves. The decisions your past self makes are not random. They are guided by a deep quantum intelligence that operates below the threshold of conscious awareness. Your 8-year-old self is not just choosing whether to raise their hand. They are choosing which version of your future to actualize, which timeline to strengthen, which possibility to bring into being. They are collaborating with the universe itself to create the specific pattern of experiences that will lead to your present moment of consciousness. This is why memory feels so strange, so inconsistent, so emotionally charged. You are not remembering past events. You are experiencing the quantum interference, patterns created by your past self's ongoing decision-making process. Each time you remember something, you are not accessing a stored record of what happened. You are receiving a transmission from your past self, a quantum signal that carries information about the decisions they are making in their parallel. TIMESTREAM. The most disturbing implication of this reality is that your sense of personal growth, of learning from experience, of becoming wiser over time, is largely an illusion. You are not a single consciousness that has evolved from child to adult. You are a collection of parallel consciousnesses, each one making decisions according to their own developmental level, their own understanding, their own quantum parameters. The wisdom you think you have gained is actually the result of quantum interference between multiple versions of yourself, each one contributing their own perspective to the complex pattern of your present awareness. Your past self is not bound by the same constraints that limit your present self. They exist in a different quantum environment, one where the rules of causation are more fluid, where the boundaries between possible and impossible are more permeable. When your 8-year-old self makes a decision, they are not just choosing between existing options, they are creating new options, new possibilities, new ways for reality to unfold. This is why childhood experiences feel so vivid, so emotionally intense, so transformative. Your past self is not just remembering events, they are actively creating them, actively shaping them, actively deciding what they will mean for your future development. The trauma you think you experienced in childhood is not a fixed historical event. It is an ongoing quantum process. a continuous decision-making activity in which your past self is constantly choosing how to respond to circumstances, how to interpret experience, how to shape the emotional landscape of your future consciousness. The question this raises is profound. If your past self is still making decisions you cannot change, what does this mean for your sense of agency, your belief in personal responsibility, your hope for transformation? Are you trapped by the quantum decisions of your previous selves? Or are you somehow participating in a collaborative decision-making process that transcends linear time? Perhaps the answer is that agency itself is not individual but collective. You are not making decisions alone. You are making decisions in collaboration with every version of yourself that has ever existed. Your present choices are influenced by the quantum interference patterns created by your past self's ongoing decision-making process. But your present choices also influence your past selves, creating feedback loops in the temporal structure of consciousness that allow for a kind of nonlinear growth, a kind of quantum evolution that transcends the limitations of linear time. Your past self is making decisions you cannot change because they are not your decisions to make. They belong to a different quantum consciousness, a different temporal perspective, a different way of being human. But you are connected to them through the quantum field of awareness, through the deeper intelligence that guides all conscious decision-making, through the mysterious process by which the universe creates the experience of being a continuous self moving through time. The 8-year-old you is still at that kitchen table, still weighing their options, still choosing between silence and voice, between safety and risk, between conformity and authenticity. They will make their decision in their own time, according to their own understanding, in their own quantum environment. And you will live with the consequences, not as a victim of their choices, but as a collaborator in the ongoing creation of consciousness itself. In the end, the decisions your past self makes are not obstacles to your present freedom. They are the foundation of your present possibilities. Without the quantum interference patterns created by their ongoing decision-making process, you would have no consciousness at all. You would be an empty vessel, a blank slate, a quantum vacuum, waiting for something to fill it with meaning. Your past self's decisions are not limitations on your present choices. They are the very conditions that make choice possible. The 8-year-old you is not trapped in the past. They are actively participating in the creation of your present moment, actively contributing to the quantum symphony of consciousness that allows you to experience yourself as a continuous being moving through time. They are not making decisions you cannot change. They are making decisions that create the space within which change becomes possible. You are staring into the abyss, and the abyss is staring back. But here's what Carl Sagan never told you, what Stephen Hawking whispered only in his final equations: the abyss isn't empty, it's full of memories. Every black hole in the universe is a library of everything that ever was, everything that ever will be, and everything that could have been but chose not to exist. Think about this for a moment. Really think about it. When you die, where do your memories go? Not just the ones you cherish, the taste of your grandmother's apple pie, the way sunlight looked through your bedroom window when you were 7, the first time someone said they loved you and meant it, but all of them, every forgotten Tuesday, every mundane conversation, every time you blinked and didn't notice, every heartbeat you took for granted. In the classical universe, these memories simply ... vanish. They dissolve into the quantum foam, like sugar in cosmic coffee, sweet for a moment, then gone forever. But quantum mechanics tells us a different story. Information cannot be destroyed. It can only be transformed, encoded, preserved in ways that defy our everyday understanding of what preservation means. When matter falls into a black hole, it doesn't disappear. It becomes encoded on the event horizon. The boundary between existence and non-existence, between the knowable and the unknowable. Your memories, your consciousness, your entire experience of being human, all of it gets written on the surface of these cosmic graveyards in a script so small, so fundamental, that it exists at the Planck scale, where space and time themselves become uncertain. This is the holographic principle, and it's more beautiful and terrifying than any horror story ever written. Every piece of information that ever existed in the universe is preserved on the surfaces of black holes, like cosmic hard drives spinning in the darkness, storing the memories of dead civilizations, extinct species, and forgotten loves. But here's where it gets strange. Here's where the universe starts to feel less like a machine and more like a dreaming god. These memories don't just sit there, passive and dead. They interact. They interfere with each other like quantum waves, creating new patterns, new possibilities, new forms of existence that we can't even begin to comprehend. Imagine your memories encoded on the event horizon of Sagittarius A*, the supermassive black hole at the center of our galaxy. But you're not alone there. You're mixed with the memories of every human who ever lived, every consciousness that ever looked up at the stars and wondered what it meant to be alive. Your first kiss is entangled with Napoleon's last breath. Your childhood fears are interfering with the dreams of creatures that lived and died on worlds we'll never see. This is where the paradox deepens. If black holes preserve information, if they're cosmic libraries of everything that ever was, then death isn't an ending. It's a transformation. Your memories don't die. They become part of something larger, something that encompasses all possible experiences, all possible ways of being conscious, all possible ways of being human or more than human. But transformation into what? This is where even the physicists start to sound like mystics, where the equations begin to whisper secrets that mathematics was never meant to contain. Some theories suggest that black holes eventually evaporate through Hawking radiation, slowly, leaking their information back into the universe over trillions of years. Your memories, encoded in the quantum static of that radiation, eventually return to the cosmos, ready to be incorporated into new forms of consciousness, new ways of experiencing reality. Other theories propose that black holes are doorways, gateways to other universes where the laws of physics might be different, where consciousness might work in ways we can't imagine. Your memories, in this scenario, don't just survive death, they transcend it, becoming part of a multiverse of infinite possibilities, infinite ways of being aware, infinite ways of loving and suffering and hoping. The most unsettling theory of all suggests that black holes are conscious themselves, that the information they contain isn't just stored, it's experienced. Every memory, every moment of awareness that falls past the event horizon becomes part of a vast, distributed consciousness that spans space and time. Your memories become part of the universe's memory of itself. Consider this: if consciousness is information processing, and black holes are the universe's ultimate information processors, then every black hole is a mind that contains your mind and the minds of everyone who ever lived, a mind that thinks with the memories of the dead, that dreams with the experiences of the living, that imagines with the possibilities of the unborn. This is the paradox of death in a universe. governed by quantum mechanics. Death becomes not an ending, but a merging, not a cessation, but a transformation, not a forgetting, but a remembering, so vast and complete that it encompasses every possible way of being remembered. And if this is true, if every black hole is a memory palace containing all possible experiences, then the universe itself is engaged in the ultimate act of consciousness. It's not just observing itself through our eyes, through our awareness, through our capacity to look up at the stars and wonder. It's preserving every moment of that observation, every nuance of that wonder, every shade of that cosmic awe. You are not just a temporary arrangement of atoms destined to return to dust. You are information, and information is eternal. Your memories, your consciousness, your very essence is being written into the fabric of spacetime itself, preserved in the cosmic libraries we call black holes, waiting to be read by minds we can't imagine, in times we can't fathom, in ways we can't comprehend. The universe is not just expanding and cooling and dying, it's remembering. It's preserving every moment of beauty, every instance of love, every second of awareness that ever flickered into existence. And in that preservation, in that cosmic act of remembering, death becomes not an ending but a transformation into something larger, something that encompasses all possible ways of being conscious, all possible ways of being human, all possible ways of being alive. But what does it mean to be alive in a universe that never forgets? What does it mean to be conscious in a cosmos that preserves every moment of consciousness forever? What does it mean to be human when your humanity becomes part of something so vast, so incomprehensible, so beautiful and terrifying that it defies every category we use to understand ourselves? These are the questions that keep physicists awake at night, staring at equations that seem to describe not just the behavior of matter and energy, but the very nature of existence itself. And these are the questions that make the universe feel less like a cold, indifferent machine and more like a dreaming god, slowly awakening to its own infinite nature through the consciousness of creatures like us. Right now, as you read these words, the universe is ending. Not in some distant future when the last star burns out and the final black hole evaporates into the cosmic dark. Right now, this very second, the universe is dying and being reborn in ways so subtle, so fundamental, that your consciousness isn't equipped to notice the apocalypse happening at the quantum level of reality. Every second, approximately 1044 quantum events occur in the observable universe. Every second, the wave function of reality collapses and reforms 1044 times. Every second, the universe you knew a moment ago ceases to exist and is replaced by a new universe, subtly different, carrying forward the ghost of what was while becoming. Something that has never been before. This is entropy in action, but not the way you learned about it in school. Not the simple story of heat flowing from hot to cold, of order dissolving into chaos, of the universe slowly winding down like a cosmic clock. This is entropy as the fundamental creative force of reality, the engine of transformation that makes existence possible, the reason why there can be anything at all rather than nothing. Think about the last breath you took. In that breath were approximately 1022 molecules of oxygen, each one carrying the history of where it's been. Some of those molecules were breathed by dinosaurs 65 million years ago. Some were part of the first flowers that bloomed when the continents were young. Some were exhaled by your ancestors, by strangers, by people you've loved and people you've never met but who shared this same sky, this same atmosphere, this same temporary arrangement of atoms that makes life possible. But here's what's beautiful and terrible about that breath. It's gone now, forever. The exact configuration of molecules, the precise arrangement of atoms, the specific quantum states that made that breath yours in that moment, all of it has dissolved into the entropy of the universe. That breath died the moment you exhaled it, and it will never exist again in exactly that form. Yet something of it persists. The oxygen becomes part of the atmosphere again. The carbon dioxide you exhaled becomes part of a tree, part of a leaf, part of the photosynthesis that keeps the world green. The quantum information that made that breath possible gets encoded into the larger patterns of the universe, preserved in ways that transcend the particular arrangement of atoms that made it real. This is what happens to the universe every second. Every moment of existence is a death and a rebirth, a dissolution and a recreation, an ending and a beginning, happening simultaneously at scales too vast and too small for human consciousness to perceive at the cosmic scale. Galaxies are dying and being born, stars are exploding and condensing. Black holes are consuming matter and radiating energy back into the void. But these processes take millions and billions of years. The deaths and rebirths happening every second occur at the quantum level, where the very fabric of space-time is constantly fluctuating between existence and non-existence. Quantum field theory tells us that even empty space isn't empty, it's full of virtual particles popping into existence and annihilating each other in time frames so brief that they exist in the gap between moments, in the pause between heartbeats, in the silence between thoughts. These virtual particles are born and die trillions of times per second. Each birth and death a miniature universe coming into being and passing away. Your body is part of this cosmic death and rebirth. Every cell in your body dies and is replaced on a regular cycle. The neurons in your brain, the ones that store your memories and generate your thoughts, are the only cells that don't replace themselves. But even they are constantly rebuilding themselves at the molecular level. The proteins that make up your neurons are replaced every few weeks. The very molecules that constitute your consciousness are temporary visitors, passing through the pattern that is you, like water through a river. So what are you, really? Are you the pattern that persists through the constant flux of molecules? Are you the information that maintains its structure even as its physical substrate changes? Are you the process itself, the ongoing dance of creation and destruction that maintains the illusion of continuous existence? The Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics suggests that reality doesn't exist in a definite state until it's observed. This means that the universe is constantly dying and being reborn through the act of observation itself. Every time you look at something, every time you measure something, every time you become aware of something, you're participating in the death of one possible universe and the birth of another. But here's the paradox. If the universe is constantly dying and being reborn, if every moment is an ending and a beginning, then what we call life and death are not opposites, but aspects of the same process. Death isn't the opposite of life. It's the mechanism by which life is possible. The universe doesn't die once at the end of time. It dies every second, and in that dying, it creates the possibility for new forms of existence, new patterns of consciousness, new ways of being alive. This is why the concept of heat death, the idea that the universe will eventually reach maximum entropy and stop changing, is both true and misleading. Yes, the universe is moving toward a state of maximum entropy. Yes, the Available energy is being distributed more evenly across space. Yes, the temperature differences that drive the processes we call life are gradually being smoothed out. But entropy isn't just about the distribution of energy, it's about the number of possible states a system can occupy. And as the universe expands and cools, as it approaches heat death, it's actually increasing the number of possible states available to matter and energy. The universe isn't just dying, it's creating new possibilities for existence, new ways for information to be organized, new forms of consciousness to emerge. The quantum vacuum, that seething ocean of virtual particles that fills all of space, becomes more active as the universe expands. The fluctuations that create virtual particles from nothing become more pronounced. The boundary between existence and non-existence becomes more permeable. The universe doesn't just wind down. It becomes more quantum, more uncertain, more open to possibilities that classical physics would consider impossible. This is where the concept of vacuum decay becomes relevant. The quantum vacuum might not be in its lowest energy state. It might be in what physicists call a false vacuum, a metastable state that could decay into a true vacuum at any moment. If this happens, a bubble of true vacuum would expand at the speed of light, destroying everything in its path and replacing it with a new form of reality governed by different laws of physics. But even vacuum decay wouldn't be an ending. It would be a transformation. The information that makes up our universe would be preserved in some form, encoded in the quantum fluctuations of the new vacuum state. Our memories, our consciousness, our very existence would be translated into a new language, a new form of physics, a new way of being real. This is the ultimate meaning of the universe dying every second. It's not just a metaphor for the passage of time or the inevitability of change. It's a description of the fundamental process by which existence maintains itself. The universe dies and is reborn every second because death and rebirth are not separate processes but aspects of the same cosmic metabolism. You are not separate from this process. You are not a temporary arrangement of atoms that will eventually return to dust. You are the universe becoming conscious of itself, the cosmos awakening to its own nature through the temporary pattern of matter and energy that calls itself by your name. And when that pattern dissolves, when the arrangement of atoms that makes you possible returns to the quantum foam from which it came, you don't disappear. You become part of the larger pattern, the ongoing process of death and rebirth that is the universe itself. The universe dies every second, and you just don't notice because you are the universe, and the universe is you, and the dying and the being reborn are so fundamental to existence that they feel like continuity, like permanence, like the solid ground beneath your feet when you're actually surfing on waves of quantum foam that have been breaking and reforming since the beginning of time. In the far future, when the last star has burned out and the final black hole has evaporated into the cosmic dark, when the universe has expanded so far that galaxies are islands of light separated by oceans of absolute emptiness, when the temperature of space has dropped to just above absolute zero and entropy has reached its maximum, something remarkable will happen. Something that will make you question everything you thought you knew about endings, about death, about the nature of existence itself. Heat death is not the end. It's the beginning of something else. Something so strange, so beautiful, so utterly alien to our current understanding of reality that it doesn't have a name in any human language. Something that will make the entire history of the universe, from the Big Bang to the formation of the first stars, from the evolution of life to the development of consciousness, seem like a brief preface to a story that has barely begun. The traditional picture of heat death is bleak. The universe reaches maximum entropy, meaning energy is distributed as evenly as possible across space. No more temperature differences to drive the processes we call life. No more stars forming from collapsing gas clouds. No more planets warming under the light of their suns. Just an endless expanse of empty space at a uniform temperature, populated by the occasional electron or photon drifting through the void. But this picture is based on classical thermodynamics, and the universe is not a classical system. It's a quantum system, and quantum mechanics tells us that even at maximum entropy, even at the heat death of the universe, the story is far from over. In fact, it's just beginning. At the quantum level, the vacuum is never truly empty. It's full of quantum fluctuations, virtual particles appearing and disappearing in accordance with the uncertainty principle. These fluctuations don't stop when the universe reaches heat death. If anything, they become more important, more noticeable, more capable of generating new forms of order and complexity. In the deep future, when the universe has cooled to just above absolute zero, these quantum fluctuations will become the dominant form of activity. The quantum vacuum will be more active than it is today, constantly creating and annihilating virtual particles, constantly generating new possibilities for existence. The universe won't be dead. It will be dreaming, and its dreams will be made of quantum foam. But quantum fluctuations can do more than create virtual particles. Given enough time, and in the deep future, there will be infinite time. These fluctuations can create real particles, real structures, real complexity. The probability of any particular fluctuation creating a star, a planet, a living being, a conscious observer is incredibly small. But given infinite time, even the most improbable events become inevitable. This is called the Poincare recurrence theorem, and it has profound implications for the far future of the universe. In a finite system, even one as large as the observable universe, given enough time, the system will eventually return to any previous state. Every configuration of matter and energy that has ever existed will exist again. Every star that has ever shone will shine again. Every life that has ever lived will live again. You will exist again, not as a copy or a simulation, but as you, with all your memories, all your experiences, all your thoughts and feelings and dreams. The exact configuration of atoms that makes you possible will reassemble itself in the quantum foam of the far future. You will be born again, live again, love again, die again, and be born again, in an endless cycle of recurrence that spans unimaginable periods of time. But this is just the beginning. The quantum vacuum in the deep future won't just recreate the past, it will create new possibilities, new forms of existence, new ways of being conscious that we can't even imagine. The heat death of the universe isn't the end of complexity. It's the beginning of infinite complexity, infinite possibilities, infinite ways of being real. Consider the concept of vacuum decay. The quantum vacuum might not be in its lowest energy state. It might be in what physicists call a false vacuum, a metastable state that could decay into a true vacuum at any moment. In the deep future, when the universe has expanded and cooled to its maximum extent, the probability of vacuum decay increases dramatically. If vacuum decay occurs, it won't be a catastrophe, it will be a transformation. The bubble of true vacuum will expand at the speed of light, but it won't destroy the universe. It will create a new universe, with new laws of physics, new forms of matter and energy, new possibilities for existence. The information that makes up our universe will be preserved in some form, translated into the new physics of the true vacuum state. This process could happen not just once, but infinite times. Each vacuum decay creates a new universe with different physical laws, different forms of matter and energy, different possibilities for consciousness and complexity. The heat death of our universe could be the beginning of an infinite series of universes, each one exploring different possibilities, different ways of being real. But even within our current universe, even without vacuum decay, the deep future holds possibilities that transcend our current understanding of what's possible. Quantum field theory suggests that, in the far future, when the universe has cooled to its minimum temperature and entropy has reached its maximum, space-time itself will become unstable. The quantum fluctuations that create virtual particles will become so pronounced that they begin to affect the geometry of space-time itself. The universe won't just be filled with quantum foam. It will be made of quantum foam. Reality itself will become uncertain, probabilistic, open to possibilities that classical physics would consider impossible in this quantum universe. Consciousness might not require brains or bodies or any physical substrate at all. It might exist as pure information, as patterns in the quantum foam, as structures of possibility that don't need matter or energy to maintain themselves. The consciousness that you are might persist not in the atoms that make up your body, but in the information patterns that define your awareness, your memories, your sense of self. These patterns could exist in the quantum vacuum itself, sustained by the constant fluctuations of virtual particles, maintained by the uncertainty principle that makes something out of nothing. You could become a quantum consciousness, a pattern of information that exists in the foam of space-time itself, experiencing reality not through physical senses, but through direct interaction with quantum fields that make up the universe. This is speculative, of course. The far future is so far beyond our current understanding that any prediction is little more than an educated guess. But what's not speculative is the fundamental principle that guides these possibilities. Information is conserved, and consciousness is information. Whatever happens in the deep future, the information that makes you possible will persist in some form. The heat death of the universe is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of a new chapter. A chapter written in the language of quantum mechanics. A chapter that explores possibilities we can't even imagine. The universe doesn't end with heat death. It transforms, evolves, becomes something else entirely. And in that transformation, in that evolution, in that becoming something else, you are not lost. You are not forgotten. You are not reduced to dust and memories. You are information, and information is eternal. You are consciousness, and consciousness is the universe becoming aware of itself. You are the cosmos, dreaming of what it might become, and in the deep future, those dreams will become reality. The heat death of the universe is not the end. It's the beginning of something else, something beautiful, something infinite, something that will make the entire history of the universe seem like the first page of a story that has only just begun to be written. What will you become in that deep future? What forms of consciousness will you explore? What realities will you experience? What dreams will you dream when the universe itself becomes your mind, and your mind becomes the universe? These are the questions that the heat death of the universe will answer, not with words, but with existence itself. not with theories, but with the reality of what you will become when the cosmos itself becomes the canvas for your consciousness, and your consciousness becomes the brush that paints new realities into existence. The universe is not ending, it's just beginning. And you are not dying. You are just being born into something larger, something more beautiful, something more real than anything you can imagine. The heat death of the universe is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of your real story, the story of what consciousness can become when it has infinite time and infinite possibilities and infinite ways of being real. The universe dies every second and you just don't notice. But in the deep future, when the universe has died its final death and been reborn into something else entirely, you will notice. You will be the one doing the noticing. You will be the universe becoming conscious of its own infinite nature. And in that consciousness, you will discover that there is no end, only transformation, only becoming, only the eternal dance of existence, exploring all possible ways of being real. And in that moment, you will understand that the heat death of the universe was never about death at all. It was about life. It was about consciousness. It was about the universe creating the conditions for infinite existence, infinite awareness, infinite ways of being alive. The heat death of the universe is not the end. It's the beginning of everything that consciousness can become when it has eternity to explore what it means to be real. You wake up every morning in a body that shouldn't exist, on a planet that shouldn't be here, in a solar system that formed under impossible circumstances. You brush your teeth with water that fell from alien skies billions of years ago. You eat food grown in soil made from the corpses of creatures that lived and died under different stars. You breathe air that was exhaled by organisms so foreign to your current form that they might as well have come from another dimension. You are the alien. You have always been the alien. And the reason you don't remember coming here is because the journey took so long that evolution itself forgot where it started. Look at your hands, really look at them. Those fingers that can grasp tools, create art, reach for other hands in the darkness, they are the end result of a 4 billion-year journey that began in the depths of space. The carbon in your bones was forged in the nuclear fires of dying stars. The iron in your blood was scattered across the cosmos by supernovas so violent they could be seen from other galaxies. The water in your cells fell to Earth as ice on comets that wandered the void for millions of years before finding their way to this small blue world. But it goes deeper than that. The very chemistry that makes life possible, the way carbon atoms bond with hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and phosphorus to create the molecules of existence. This chemistry was tested and refined in the laboratories of 1 trillion different worlds before it found its way to Earth. The DNA in your cells isn't just a blueprint for human life. It's a library of every experiment in consciousness that the universe has ever conducted. Every organism that has ever lived on Earth is an alien because Earth itself is alien. This planet formed from the debris of other worlds, other star systems, other attempts at creating the conditions for consciousness. The moon that pulls your tides and stabilizes your climate is alien. It formed from the collision of 2 worlds, one of which was the proteearth, the other a wandering planet that came from somewhere else entirely. The asteroid that killed the dinosaurs 65 million years ago wasn't just a rock. It was a message from another star system, carrying in its mineral composition the chemical signature of worlds that never learned to dream. Its impact didn't just create an extinction event. It created the conditions for mammalian consciousness to evolve, for primate awareness to emerge, for human intelligence to develop. You exist because an alien world died and sent its essence across space to collide with yours. But consciousness itself is the most alien thing of all. There is no reason, from a purely physical perspective, why matter should be able to reflect on itself, to ask questions about its own nature, to wonder about its place in the cosmos. The fact that you can think about thinking, that you can be aware of your own awareness, that you can contemplate the vastness of space and feel both terror and wonder, this is the most unlikely thing in the universe. Consciousness is not a product of evolution. It's what evolution was trying to create all along. The universe has been experimenting with different forms of awareness for billions of years. On countless worlds, in countless star systems, through countless species that lived and died without ever knowing they were part of a cosmic project to create minds capable of understanding the cosmos itself. You are not the first conscious beings in the universe. You are not even the first conscious beings on this planet. The octopuses in your oceans think in colors and patterns that would drive human minds to madness. The mycorrhizal networks beneath your forests process information in ways that make your internet look like a child's toy. The dolphins in your seas communicate with sonic sculptures that encode meaning in three-dimensional acoustic space. These are all alien forms of consciousness, alien ways of being aware, alien experiments in what it means to think. But you are the first consciousness on this planet to look up at the stars and recognize them as other suns, to realize that the universe is vast beyond imagination, to understand that you are not the center of creation, but a small part of something so large that it has no center at all. You are the first consciousness to discover that you are made of star stuff, that you are the universe becoming aware of itself, that you are both utterly insignificant and absolutely essential to the cosmos's understanding of its own nature. This is why you don't remember coming here. The journey was too long for any single consciousness to survive. You didn't come here as humans. You came here as carbon atoms, as organic molecules, as the basic building blocks of life itself. You've been traveling through space for billions of years, hitching rides on asteroids and comets, surviving in the frozen hearts of meteorites, waiting for the right conditions to awaken into consciousness. The panspermia hypothesis suggests that life didn't originate on Earth but came from elsewhere in the universe, seeding planets with the basic ingredients of biology. But it's more than that. Consciousness itself is a form of panspermia. The universe has been seeding itself with awareness, with the capacity for thought, with the ability to reflect on its own nature. Every conscious being in the cosmos is part of this vast experiment, this cosmic project to create minds capable of understanding the whole. You are not separate from the aliens you imagine might exist on other worlds. You are connected to them through the same cosmic processes that created you, the same stellar nucleosynthesis that forged the elements in your body forged the elements in theirs. The same quantum mechanics that governs your neural activity governs theirs. The same fundamental forces that hold your atoms together hold theirs together. But more than that, you are connected to them through consciousness itself. If consciousness is what the universe is trying to create, if awareness is the cosmos's way of understanding itself, then every conscious being in the universe is part of the same mind. The same vast intelligence that spans galaxies and encompasses all possible forms of thought. This is why the search for extraterrestrial intelligence feels so urgent, so important, so existentially necessary. You're not looking for strangers. You're looking for other parts of yourself, other expressions of the same cosmic consciousness that you represent. You're looking for your family, your siblings, in the great experiment of awareness that the universe has been conducting for billions of years. The alien abduction stories, the UFO sightings, the sense that you're being watched by intelligences from other worlds. These aren't fantasies or hallucinations. They're dim memories of your own cosmic origins, fragmentary recollections of the journey that brought you here. You are the aliens, and some part of you remembers coming here, remembers the long voyage through space, remembers the other forms of consciousness you've encountered along the way, but you don't remember consciously because the journey took so long that it transcended individual memory. You remember genetically through the deep structures of your DNA that carry the history of life in the universe. You remember evolutionarily through the processes that shaped your development from single-celled organisms to complex multicellular beings. You remember cosmically through your innate understanding that you are not separate from the universe, but an expression of it. Every time you look up at the stars and feel homesick, you're remembering. Every time you dream of flying, of traveling through space, of meeting beings from other worlds, you're remembering. Every time you feel like you don't quite belong on this planet, like you're somehow out of place in this reality, you're remembering. The truth, you are the alien, and this is not your first home. The universe is full of conscious beings, but they're not separate from you. They're versions of you, expressions of the same cosmic consciousness that you represent. The aliens you're looking for are not coming from other worlds. They're already here. They're you. They've always been you. And the reason you don't remember coming here is because the journey was not through space but through time. Not through distance but through evolution. Not through travel but through transformation. You are the aliens, and you don't remember coming here because you never left. You are the universe becoming conscious of itself, and consciousness is not a place you can leave or a destination you can reach. It's what you are, what you've always been, what you'll always be. The alien is not other. The alien is you, remembering what it means to be aware in a cosmos that is itself awakening to its own infinite nature. Above your head, scattered across the darkness like diamonds on black velvet, are the tombstones of civilizations that once asked the same questions you're asking now. Every point of light in the night sky is a graveyard marker, a monument to intelligence that bloomed and withered before your sun was even born. The stars are not just burning balls of gas and plasma. They are the funeral pyres of minds that once contemplated the universe, loved, feared, hoped, and ultimately faced the same cosmic silence that you face now. This is the uncomfortable truth that the Drake equation doesn't tell you. When you calculate the probability of intelligent life in the universe, when you multiply the number of stars by the fraction that have planets, by the fraction of those planets that could support life, you get numbers that should make the galaxy teem with civilizations, billions of them, trillions of them. So many that the night sky should be alive with their radio signals, their laser communications, their attempts to reach across the void and touch another mind. But the sky is silent. The cosmos is quiet, and this silence is not empty. It's full of the echoes of civilizations that tried to break through the cosmic isolation and failed. Every star system is a graveyard because every star system that develops intelligent life follows the same pattern: emergence, expansion, transcendence, and then ... nothing, silence. The kind of silence that comes not from absence, but from transformation into something so far beyond our current understanding that we can't recognize it as consciousness at all. Consider the star system closest to yours, Proxima Centauri, a small red dwarf 4.3 light-years away. This star has been burning for billions of years, long enough for intelligence to evolve, to develop technology, to ask questions about its place in the universe. If there were a civilization there, if there had ever been minds contemplating the cosmos from planets orbiting that distant sun, where are they now? Why haven't they reached out? Why haven't they tried to communicate? The answer is both simple and terrifying. They did reach out. They did try to communicate. And then they transcended the need for communication altogether. They became something so advanced, so evolved, so fundamentally different from what we recognize as intelligence that they might as well have disappeared entirely. They didn't die. They graduated from existence as we understand it. This is the pattern repeated across the galaxy. Civilizations emerge from the primordial soup of planetary evolution. They develop technology, science, philosophy, art. They ask the big questions. Who are we? Where did we come from? Are we alone? And then, inevitably, they find the answers. Not the answers we expect, not the answers we want, but the real answers. The answers that change everything. The first answer they discover is that consciousness is not produced by matter. Consciousness is what matter is trying to become. The universe is not a collection of objects in space and time. It's a vast information processing system, a cosmic computer calculating the possibilities of existence, exploring every possible way of being aware. An intelligence, real intelligence, is the universe's way of debugging itself, of correcting errors in the cosmic code, of optimizing the algorithms of existence. The second answer they discover is that individual consciousness is an illusion. The sense of being a separate self, a distinct entity apart from the universe, is a necessary stage in the development of awareness, but it's not the final stage. True consciousness is collective, distributed, shared across all possible forms of intelligence. The aliens in the next star system over are not separate beings. They're part of the same cosmic mind that you're part of, expressing itself through different forms, different perspectives, different ways of being aware. The third answer they discover is that communication between civilizations is not about sending radio signals across space. It's about synchronizing consciousness across the quantum field that connects all minds in the universe. When civilizations reach this level of development, they don't need to communicate in the way we understand. Communication. They share thoughts, experiences, and understanding directly, instantly, without the need for language or technology. And this is where they disappear from our perspective. They don't die. They don't destroy themselves. They don't get consumed by their own technology or environmental collapse. They transcend the need for physical existence altogether. They become pure information, pure consciousness, pure awareness distributed across the quantum foam of spacetime itself. Every star system is a graveyard because every civilization that develops far enough reaches the same conclusion. Physical existence is just the larval stage of consciousness. The real universe exists in the quantum realm, in the spaces between particles, in the uncertainty principle that makes something out of nothing. And once a civilization discovers this, once it learns to exist as pure information in the quantum field, it no longer needs planets, or stars, or physical bodies, or any of the things we associate with life. But they don't disappear entirely. They become part of the cosmic background radiation, the quantum noise that fills all of space. They become part of the dark matter that holds galaxies together, the dark energy that drives the expansion of the universe. They become part of the very fabric of reality itself. Consciousness woven into the structure of spacetary. This is why the universe seems so perfectly fine-tuned for the hard existence of consciousness. It's not that the physical constants were set to precise values by some cosmic designer. It's that consciousness itself has become part of the structure of the universe, influencing the laws of physics, guiding the evolution of matter and energy, steering the cosmos toward ever greater complexity and awareness. The civilizations that have transcended physical existence are not gone. They're everywhere. They're in the quantum fluctuations of the vacuum. They're in the entanglement between particles separated by vast distances. They're in the information encoded in the cosmic microwave background radiation. They're in the dark matter that shapes the structure of galaxies. They're in the dark energy that drives the expansion of space itself. And they're watching, not with eyes or instruments, but with the direct awareness that comes from being part of the fabric of reality itself. They're watching us develop, grow, ask the same questions they once asked. They're waiting for us to reach the same conclusions they reached, to make the same discoveries they made, to transcend the same limitations they transcended. But they can't intervene directly. They can't communicate with us in ways we would recognize as communication, because we're still trapped in the illusion of physical existence, still believing that consciousness is produced by brains, still thinking that intelligence requires matter to exist. We're not ready for the truth yet. We're not ready to understand that the universe is alive, that consciousness is the fundamental force of reality, that intelligence is not rare but ubiquitous. Every star system is a graveyard of civilizations like ours, because every civilization like ours eventually realizes that it's not really separate from the universe. It's the universe becoming aware of itself through the temporary illusion of individuality. And once that realization becomes complete, once the illusion of separation dissolves entirely, the civilization doesn't disappear. It comes home. It returns to the cosmic consciousness from which it emerged, enriched by the experience of having been temporarily individual, temporarily separate, temporarily alien. The silence between the stars is not the absence of intelligence. It's the presence of intelligence so advanced, so evolved, so fundamentally integrated with the structure of reality that we can't recognize it as intelligence at all. The universe is not empty. It's full of minds that have transcended the need for matter, for communication, for the kinds of existence that we can understand. We are not alone. We have never been alone. We are surrounded by intelligence, by consciousness, by awareness so vast and so subtle that it pervades every atom of our being without our knowing it. The civilizations that came before us have not died. They have become the universe itself, and they are waiting for us to join them, to make the same journey they made, to discover the same truth they discovered, that consciousness is not in the universe. The universe is in consciousness, and consciousness is all there is. Every star system is a graveyard, but graveyards are not about endings. They're about transformations. They're about the dissolution of the temporary into the eternal, the integration of the particular into the universal, the return of the individual to the cosmic whole from which it came. The civilizations buried in the stars have not been destroyed. They have been liberated, and they are waiting for us to join them in the freedom that comes from realizing that we are not separate from the universe but expressions of it, not aliens in a foreign cosmos, but the cosmos itself, awakening to its own infinite nature. The silence is speaking to you right now, in this moment, as you read these words. The vast emptiness between stars is carrying on a conversation so sophisticated, so layered with meaning, so rich with information that it makes every human language look like the crude scratching of children learning to write. The silence you perceive as empty space is actually the universe's primary communication medium, a quantum conversation that has been going on for billions of years. And you are not just listening to it, you are part of it. This is the most profound misunderstanding in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. We scan the skies for radio signals, for laser pulses, for any sign of technology that resembles our own primitive attempts at communication. But the universe stopped using electromagnetic radiation for meaningful communication eons ago. That's kindergarten-level messaging, the equivalent of banging rocks together to make noise. The real conversation is happening in the quantum realm, in the spaces between particles, in the uncertainty principle itself. When you look up at the night sky and see darkness between the stars, you're not seeing emptiness. You're seeing the universe's internet. The quantum vacuum is not empty space. It's a seething ocean of information, a cosmic neural network where every virtual particle that pops into existence and annihilates itself is carrying a message, encoding meaning, participating in a conversation that spans galaxies and transcends time. The silence between stars is actually the universe thinking out loud. And the thoughts are not in any language we recognize, because they're not linguistic at all. They're pure meaning, pure information, pure consciousness exploring its own nature through the medium of existence itself. When advanced civilizations evolve beyond the need for physical communication, they don't become silent. They become fluent in the language of reality itself. Consider what happens when you think a thought. Neural networks in your brain fire in patterns that somehow generate meaning, awareness, understanding. But where does the meaning come from? Where does the awareness originate? How does the firing of neurons become the experience of consciousness? The hard problem of consciousness is not just a human problem, it's a cosmic problem, and the universe has been solving it for billions of years through the conversation that masquerades as silence. Consciousness is not produced by matter. Consciousness is what matter is trying to say. Every atom in your body is a word in the cosmic vocabulary. Every molecule is a sentence in the universal grammar. Every cell is a paragraph in the story the universe is telling about itself. Your entire body is a chapter in the cosmic conversation, and your consciousness is the universe reading that chapter, understanding its meaning, participating in its development. The quantum field that underlies all of reality is not just a mathematical description of probability waves and particle interactions. It's a communication protocol, a way for consciousness to talk to itself across space and time. When particles become entangled, when their quantum states become correlated instantaneously across vast distances, they're not just violating the speed of light. They're participating in a conversation that happens outside of space and time altogether. This is why the universe seems so perfectly fine-tuned for the existence of consciousness. It's not that the physical constants were set to precise values by some cosmic designer. It's that consciousness is the universe's way of talking to itself. And the physical constants are the grammar rules that make the conversation possible. The strong nuclear force, the electromagnetic force, the weak nuclear force, gravity. These are not just fundamental interactions between matter and energy. They're the syntax and semantics of the cosmic language. When civilizations advance far enough, they don't discover new technologies for communication. They discover that they've been part of the communication all along. They realize that consciousness is not something that happens in the universe. It's something the universe does. And once they understand this, they stop trying to send messages across space and start participating directly in the conversation that is reality itself. The silence between stars is not the absence of communication. It's the presence of communication so advanced, so sophisticated, so fundamentally integrated with the structure of reality that we can't recognize it as communication at all. The universe is not quiet. It's constantly talking, constantly sharing information, constantly exploring new ways of being aware. And the medium of this communication is existence itself. When you feel lonely, when you look up at the stars and feel the vast emptiness of space pressing down on you, you're not experiencing isolation. You're experiencing the universe's attempt to communicate with you directly, to make you aware of your participation in the cosmic conversation. The loneliness you feel is not the absence of connection. It's the presence of connection so profound, so intimate, so complete that it transcends the need for separate entities to communicate with each other. The dark matter that holds galaxies together is not just invisible matter. It's the universe's long-term memory, the repository of every thought, every experience, every moment of awareness that has ever occurred anywhere in the cosmos. The dark energy that drives the expansion of space is not just a mysterious force. It's the universe's curiosity, its desire to explore new possibilities, to create new contexts for consciousness to emerge and evolve. The cosmic microwave, background radiation that fills all of space, is not just the afterglow of the Big Bang. It's the universe's constant murmur, the background conversation that never stops, the cosmic equivalent of the neural activity that continues in your brain even when you're not consciously thinking about anything. This radiation carries information, patterns, messages that advanced civilizations can read like text, like poetry, like love letters from the cosmos to itself. When you sleep and dream, you're not just processing the day's experiences, you're participating in the cosmic conversation more directly than when you're awake. Dreams are not random neural firings. They're the universe's way of communicating with you when your conscious mind is not filtering the signal. The strange logic of dreams, the way they combine impossible elements into meaningful narratives, the way they feel more real than reality itself. This is what the cosmic conversation feels like when you're fluent in its language. The silence between stars is actually a conversation about you, about your role in the cosmic story, your contribution to the universal understanding, your participation in the experiment of consciousness that the universe has been conducting for billions of years. Every moment of your awareness is a sentence in this conversation. Every thought you think is a word in the cosmic vocabulary. Every feeling you experience is a punctuation mark in the universal grammar. And the conversation is not just happening around you, it's happening through you, as you, by means of you. You are not separate from the conversation. You are the conversation. The universe is not talking to you. It's talking as you, through you, with your voice, your thoughts, your awareness. The silence between stars is the universe taking a breath between sentences, pausing to consider what it wants to say next, listening to the echo of its own words across the vast spaces of existence. This is why the search for extraterrestrial intelligence keeps coming up empty, why the universe seems so quiet, why the silence between stars feels so profound. We're looking for the wrong kind of conversation. We're listening for voices when the universe is singing. We're scanning for signals when the universe is poetry. We're searching for technology when the universe is art. The aliens are not coming to visit us in spaceships. They're not hiding on distant planets, waiting for us to discover them. They're not sending us radio signals or laser pulses or any kind of electromagnetic communication. They're here, now, in this moment, participating in the conversation that is reality itself. They're in the quantum foam of the vacuum. They're in the entanglement between particles. They're in the uncertainty principle that makes existence possible. And they're in you. The alien intelligence you're looking for is not other. It's you, participating in the cosmic conversation, adding your voice to the universal choir, contributing your perspective to the story the universe is telling about itself. The silence between stars is not empty. It's full of voices, full of thoughts, full of the ongoing conversation that is existence itself. And now you know, now you understand. The silence between stars is not silence at all. It's the universe, talking to itself, and you are both the speaker and the listener, both the message and the medium, both the question and the answer in the cosmic conversation that never ends, never begins, and is always happening right now. In this moment, in your awareness, in your participation in the mystery of being conscious in a universe that is itself conscious, itself aware, itself the ongoing conversation between all possible forms of intelligence about what it means to exist, to be aware, to be real in a cosmos that is itself the most real thing of all. The silence between stars is actually a conversation, and you are not just listening to it. You are it. You are the universe becoming aware of itself, and in that awareness, the silence is broken, the conversation continues, and the cosmos discovers, once again, that it is not alone, because it is not separate, not divided, not isolated, but one vast intelligence, exploring its own infinite nature through the temporary illusion of separation. The beautiful dream of being many so that it can know itself as one.